What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to chat about the books I read in February. A little late to the party, but that's okay. I had a rough start to 2021 in regard to my reading game. Again, I'll leave a link to all the books I'm mentioning in the description box below in case you want to check them out. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. The first book I read, I wouldn't really consider it a book. Well, obviously it's a book, but I wouldn't consider it like an in-depth read. How the King of Elthame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. It's a tiny book that's inspired by Holly Black's original Folk of Air series, which has the Cruel Prince, the Wicked King, and the Queen of Nothing. It's kind of like a part told from like Carden's point of view, which is one of the main characters in the original series, and it's just kind of a little bit more of his backstory, and it's such an easy read. Literally only took me like a day, and it's like a picture book, so it has like some nice pictures in it. Definitely took me back to when I was a kid and I would read books with pictures in them. But yeah, it was really good. I loved getting more like insight on Carden, because I feel like he's painted to be this kind of, well, he does gain some dimension throughout the series, but I like that you get to see his point of view, and because what she does is she includes some scenes that happen in the original series, but she tells it from his point of view, obviously, in this book. So you get to kind of see his side of things, and I think that's really cool. So if you haven't read the other books, I would definitely recommend reading them before you read this one. But overall, it was a great book. I love Holly Black. And yeah, the next book I read last month was A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmers. This is a continuation of the first two books she wrote, which is A Curse so Dark and Lonely, and the second one was A Heart So Fierce and Broken. And I actually mentioned these two other books in my October reads video. It's basically, the first one at least is kind of like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast in a very unique way. It's kind of like a modern twist to it. I don't really know how much else to explain it. If you want more information on the series, definitely check out my other video. But yeah, this is the conclusion to the series, and I was really excited to read it, and I was really excited to finish it. I just love Gray. He's one of the characters, and you don't really get his point of view of things until the second book. And ever since I read the second book, him and Leah Maria, I love so much. And yeah, I really liked it. I think it was I feel like I would have liked more for the ending. Like, I wish there was something else. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I think the ending could have been better, but overall I think it was a really good book. Y'all are gonna find this a little bit surprising, but this next book I read was called Anxious People, and it's by Frederick Backman. To be honest, I was a little iffy about reading this book. I am a huge fantasy and romance and enemies to lovers trope kind of girl, and to read a modern fiction book is torture for me, at least. And I was a little scared to read this book, but I literally had nothing else to do. I was waiting for Court of Silver Flames to get here, and I had no other books to read, so I was like, well, I feel like modern fiction books like these are unique in that they're relatable in ways that you can't really relate to fantasy novels. There's a lot of quotes in here, or messages in here, that I really liked that I highlighted. I'll see if I can find some of them. On page 84, and it says, "Happiness is like money, a made-up value that represents something we can't weigh or measure." And I just thought that was so interesting. It just reinforces the idea that there's no material things that can constitute one's happiness. Happiness has to come from within, and it's not just, again, it's not rooted in money. And I just found that so cool. And then another one was said, "If you're constantly presented with alternatives, you can never make up your mind." And I really felt that, because I'm a really indecisive person, and just made me feel like I'm not alone. In reading this book, and the struggles that these people went through or go through, obviously it's a fictional world, but still, it felt so real and mundane that it was easy to relate to, and it made me feel more connected to it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It was definitely a change of pace for me, but I really enjoyed it regardless. And if you're unfamiliar with what it's about, it's a story about this apartment viewing, and there's 6 different families, or like 6 different people, and then out of nowhere a robber comes and takes all of them hostage. And it's basically the story of how that whole random weird situation came to be, and the story that each one of these people bring to the table when they're talking about their life while they're being held hostage. And I just think it was so cool to read. It was a very odd scenario. I probably won't be visiting modern fiction for a little while. Yeah, that was that book. Next book I was kind of salty on. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett Sinclair. Gave me a heavy From Blood and Ash vibes. Read the backstory, but it's basically about Persephone, the goddess of spring, and she, except like no one knows she exists yet. No one knows she's a goddess. And she's moved to New Athens, which is kind of like, so basically this book is kind of like a modern Greece, kind of. So she attends college in New Athens, and Hades, the god of the dead, has built a gambling empire in the mortal world, and his favorite bets are rumored to be impossible. And after she has a chance encounter with Hades, Persephone finds herself in a contract with the god of the dead, and the terms are impossible for her, and that is that she has to create life in the underworld or lose her freedom forever. And the bet does more than just expose Persephone's failure as a goddess. As she struggles to sow the seeds of her own freedom, love for the god of the dead grows, and it's forbidden. And yes, I did like this book because I obviously had to read the second book, which is A Touch of Ruin, and the third book I read is kind of like the spin-off, and it's called A Game of Fate, and it's basically this book told from Hades' point of view, which I thought was okay. But overall, this book and the series in general so far, I really like the world. I think it's so cool. At the same time, I felt like there was a little lack in character development. I also feel like Hades and Persephone's relationship escalated way too quickly. It made it hard for me to have any like relationship with the characters when I didn't feel as connected to them, because I feel like I didn't know as much about them. I felt like it was very face value. It wasn't really deep. I also felt like the spice in it was not sufficient because of the lack of character development. I wasn't having it that much. Nevertheless, it's good. It was an easy read for me. I still recommend reading this book because you need something to tide you over until the third book from the From Blood and Ash series comes out in like 2 months. I'll give this book a read. So again, I also read the other 2 books, but I don't have them on hand. I actually read them on my Kindle, so that's why I'm not showing them to you, but I will also leave them linked in the description box if you want to check them out too. This is the perfect way to end February. But the final book I read was Of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. May I just say, I practically died and came back to life reading this book. Just everything my heart desired and more. Words can't express the level of amazingness this book exuded, and it really picked me up out of my reading slump. Like, I was like, yeah, all these books I read this month were like okay, but this one was like, man, thank God I held out for this book because it did not disappoint, and I am so grateful to be able to read it, and I'm so grateful I read it. There's always something about Nesta in the Akatar series that I just felt connected to, and it's really weird because I feel like I can connect to all the Archeon sisters. I feel like I have qualities of Nesta, Elaine, and Farah, and it was just, but Nesta I feel like specifically because I feel like you see in the book her mental health struggle more, and as someone who's had experience with mental health, I feel like it was really easy to draw connections between her experiences and my experiences, and although they're not identically the same, and just to see her journey through it was just really empowering and just amazing. In her relationship with Cassian, I was like, oh my god, like, I just can't, like, I'm dying. Okay, I'm not gonna like spill any like huge spoilers, but I was like fangirling, like I was freaking out, like I was ready to throw the book across the room. There's this one part of the book that is a reference and an allusion to Throne of Glass, the Throne of Glass series, because if you read towards the end of Throne of Glass, like the whole series in Kingdom of Ash, something happens and it's reflected, I'm pretty sure, in this book, and I think it's... Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you've read this book and you swear there's something from Throne of Glass in there, please let me know, because I feel like I'm alone in this, but I need that confirmation that like I'm not crazy, you know what I mean? Also, was it just me, or did you think like Rhys was like an asshole the entire time in the book? Like, seeing how he treated Nesta, I was like, no, like why would you do that? I feel like he was so disrespectful, and he was like such like a uptight person that it was hard for me to have any sympathy for him the entire book. And that was really weird for me because I love Rhys. Yeah, I wasn't having it for him. Like, I'm sorry. I really tried. I also got the book with the bonus chapter, and it had Azriel's bonus chapter in it, and may I just say, he's my soulmate. Read the bonus chapter to A Court of Silver Flames, and you read Azriel's bonus chapter, like, you can't complain, like, you can't deny the fact that Rhys is an ass. Like, you just can't. Like, I dare you to read that chapter and tell me, like, that Rhys is being very self-centered and he's not taking the time to look at things from Azriel's point of view, because trust me, if he would have been in Azriel's shoes, he would have acted the same exact way, and there's no going against that. So all my salty tea set aside, I loved this book, obviously. I'll probably be rereading the series again and rereading this book again because it was the best book, I think, out of the entire series. Even spicier than A Court of Mist and Fury. I thought A Court of Mist and Fury was spicy. You are in for a very big treat when you read this book. Sarah's character development, the level of depth she goes into each one of her characters is so good and so spot on that it makes this, like, the sex and all that stuff in this book come so naturally. Like, it feels like it adds value to the book. It doesn't really act as a form of like entertainment or anything, but it gives the characters more depth. And I think if you're able to do that as a writer and not just make the sex and the spice and all that stuff just for entertainment purposes, but actually have it add value to the characters and the series as a whole, I think that's really empowering and really amazing, and just proof of how amazing and experienced of an author you are. And I mean, I hope to one day reach that level, but yeah, if you want to read it, by all means read this book, but you should probably read the first ones, the rest of the series first. Sadly, you're gonna have to sit through the first book, but I'm not gonna lie, it can only go up after you read the first book. So okay guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me ramble about the books I read this month, and again, if you have any interest in reading any of them, I highly recommend you do, because they are all amazing, and I will definitely leave a link to all of them in the description box. But yes, our journey together today has come to a close, but that doesn't mean I still can't send you guys lots of love and good vibes, and just letting you know that you're amazing, and I'm so happy you're here, and I will see you guys in the next video.